Hello, of you little demons. Jules here, joined by Matt and Nathan, and we
Hello.
are here today to talk about the pressing issues, hot off the press trousers, press your coffee, because of the fact we are talking about the Xbox podcast that happened last night, and hoo boy, were there some reveals. That is what you could say about that, but most of them were shrouded cloak and dagger style. So let's explore what went down, what happened, and what we can expect for the industry going forward. Now, gentlemen, I hope that you are very happy to hear that Indiana Jones and Starfield will not be coming to PS5 in the future. Cool.
Thank God. There was some Xbox players sleeping very soundly last night that
Just
that
clutching
happened.
their crystal skulls. Oh, bless.
Of course. I mean, it would have been lovely to know what these 4 games that are going to go multi-platform are, but clearly they're in a witness protection scheme and can't be revealed for their own safety. I mean, what a strange thing. I've never watched a presentation more that could have been a tweet.
Yeah,
you know?
100%
It was like,
agree with that.
and I appreciate the honesty and kind of transparency, but I was watching it kind of like, come on, guys, it didn't even have to be a thread. This could have been one tweet.
I think that's exactly it, right? And I think they wanted, like, Xbox have never been good with their messaging, right? And this is just another example of that. But there is so much business and legality that goes into something like this. Like, if the leaks are to be believed, which I'm pretty sure they are, Hi-Fi Rush is a game that is probably going to Switch and PS5 and has so much licensed music in it. The legal headache of transporting that thing must be an absolute nightmare. Then you've got Grounded and Pentiment, which are wholly owned by Xbox. They should be easy. And then the other one is Sea of Thieves, which has a crossover with Disney and Pirates of the Caribbean. If those are the 4, then those 2 that I said, bookending that, probably do cause a lot of legal issues. And so, you know, those deals might not be fully signed off, and you can't come out and say. Although they've come out and said 4, so I guess if for some reason one of those falls through, have they got to take another one off the shelf somewhere and be like,
someone else has to be sacrificed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Put it up for a public poll on Twitter. They should just be like, what is the 4th game that we'll send?
You decide. It's on you if it goes south.
It's on you.
And to be fair, that was another thing that they did bookend their speech with, which was like, okay, you're not getting Indiana Jones, you're not getting Starfield, you're getting 4 games of which we can't talk about today, even though we are trying to hype up the fact that you should be hyped about them without telling you about it. And just to be clear, guys, finger pointing at the room, Steve, was basically that this is only going to be a test. This isn't a promise that more games are going to be made cross-platform going forward, but this is a test to see whether or not you'd be interested in it, which the gaming public resoundingly said, I think that we would be. Can we have more details, please? No more details. We'll shut down this. There will be no encore, Springton.
I know, it was bizarre, wasn't it? Because I do feel like, I appreciate the transparency, and I think Phil comes across really well, but there also was mixed messages, I think, in terms of, you know, they talked quite openly about how we think games are the future rather than consoles. We think people are going to be pushed more to games than they are hardware. But then at the same time, they're also saying, but don't worry, we're not out of hardware yet, because we're going to release another Xbox and it's going to be the biggest generational leap you've ever seen. So it just feels like all these mixed messages. I mean, I think that what that big generational leap will be is that the next Xbox will be a time machine that takes you back to the 360 era, and you can just relive your youth and happiness.
I mean, that would definitely appeal to a lot of Xbox gamers, because all they do is complain on all thread message boards. Everything you find is, why can't we play our old games? I want to play 50 Cent Blood on the Sand once more. We all do. I get it.
Don't we all? But
the question that I have for Matt, though, is this. Seeing as you run and host a lovely podcast that is all designed around Xbox stuff, and you and Phil get along very well on a first-name basis,
for sure. For sure.
What does it mean to you as an Xbox player? Like this information that, yes, some exclusives are going to other consoles, but you still are going to be retaining some. How are you feeling about this?
I think I probably differ from the vast majority of the community in this. That I think it's great for Xbox. I think it's great for gamers, right? Like they specifically said, these are games that have lived out their life cycle on the Xbox platform, right, and are now going to find new life and new revenue, more importantly, on other platforms. That allows us then to get more money and create sequels to these, and you know, fund other interesting, unique IP from these developers, right? In the case of Pentiment and Hi-Fi Rush. And so I think it makes perfect sense. It makes perfect business sense. Like you said, this is a test. A test for what? Will we get more money? The answer's going to be yes, and therefore the test is successful, right? Like, I think we could see a lot more of these happening. I think it's interesting that they've called out Indiana Jones and Starfield as not going across.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think that probably paints them into a corner that they didn't want to be in. Like, I could imagine Indiana Jones going across after 18 months, 2 years.
Well, what's that?
Because why not, right?
Why
Like,
not?
especially-
Exactly.
Yeah. And so, and I can also see, in 2 years' time, after Indiana Jones has come out, them going back on that, and then you're seeing all these YouTube videos of people blowing up because Phil Spencer said it wasn't going to happen, now it is. Because why not? If you're going to do a sequel to that Indiana Jones game, why not? Before you announce that sequel, release that original game on PS5 and get even more hype and get the media circle spinning up again and get at it. So
it does feel very strange, doesn't it, when they go, okay, cool, exclusives are not part of the Xbox mantra going forward. We want games to be the front and center. We want you to play them anywhere, anytime. But not these two games. These two games are staying here. They are actually exclusive, guys, and you should buy an Xbox for those two. It's like, okay, I kind of get what you're doing, but it's a case of it's the wheel of marketing, my friends. You've just got to keep it spinning. It doesn't matter where it turns or where it points. Just keep saying contradictory statements all the time, so that therefore you can clip out the best bits and you're always right. This is 1984. Welcome.
I was fascinated as well by the kind of internal memo that leaked where Phil Spencer had said that they see every screen as being an Xbox, which I think sounds a little bit like the investors have been saying. I mean, how many Xboxes have we sold? And Phil's going, well, define an Xbox, because I think every screen is an Xbox. Your microwave, it's an Xbox to me, baby. So we've actually sold 20 trillion Xboxes, if you look at it that way.
What is a Meta Quest apart from just a white headset with the Xbox logo waiting to be printed on top of it?
What is a screen? That's what isn't like a screen.
Oh, man, it's one of them.
that is exactly what they're playing for, though, right? Like, Xbox are making moves to play for what the console space will look like in a decade's time. And honestly, that means probably no consoles, right? And so the point to entry becomes the controller and your smart TV, which will have an Xbox app, right? It already exists in Samsung TVs. There's no reason it can't exist in other TVs as well. I just think that's what they're playing for. When Netflix moved from sending DVDs to your home to streaming, not everybody's internet was ready for it, and it seemed like a crazy move. And now it's a no-brainer. Everybody's streaming 4K. It's fine. Games are going to end up in the same place. And I think, like, the massive sales figures that they've had for Series S over Series X prove that 95% of gamers don't care about 4K. They don't care about ray tracing. They don't care about the frame rate. They just want to be able to play the games they like in the cheapest form that they can and the most convenient form that they can, and that will become streaming.
Yes.
We like you say, been hosting this Xbox podcast for a long time. We have people who listen to that podcast who don't own an Xbox. They just play Xbox Cloud Gaming on their iPad. There aren't many of those people yet, but that group is only going to grow, and that's the group that Xbox want to start chipping away at and getting money from every single month.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think the Game Pass is both the future and possibly their death knell of Microsoft, because of the fact that it's an amazing tool, an amazing streaming service. But continuing on the Netflix comparison, looking at things, how Netflix have evolved, they are going to reach a tipping point in which their costs are going to exceed their sales, their player base, their subscriber base is going to dwindle because they're going to have to keep putting the prices up because of greater costs and da-da-da-da-da. And you find that that's going to emulate over into the gaming sphere as well. So Microsoft really need to be looking at things and going, right, how are we going to get Game Pass itself on every single platform? And like you say, streaming is the way forward for them. But that's going to have a knock-on effect as to how consoles appear hardware-wise going forward. They're going to homogenize the technology because you can't have a different experience on different platforms if you're selling them saying cross-play, cross-save is meant to be uniform across the boat. So the PS6 and the Xbox Series whatever is going to be, they're going to feel even more similar than the last generation. And it's going to keep on moving towards this point where these two black console boxes that you've got there, they are interchangeable, might even have a little flippy logo that you can just turn depending on what your preference is.
Like the Wii PS2 that you could...
Yeah. It just goes into an Xbox logo on the side.
If you're in vertical or horizontal. I love that.
I think Xbox would love that, right? Yeah. They would love
they probably
for you
would.
to be able to boot up your PS5, see an Xbox logo, click on it, you're into Game Pass. But yeah, it's an interesting analogy to make with Netflix. So you've seen Netflix going for lower budget series that they can churn out, right, in the form of reality TV, and even having crossovers with their reality TV shows, and making their like Marvel style MCU reality TV network, because it's the most cost efficient way to keep people subscribed to your platform. And And so it'll be interesting to see how that affects the gaming industry. Is episodic content going to make a comeback? The old Telltale Walking Dead stuff. It could, right? And it could make sense for a platform like Game Pass. Could we see some sort of like Smash Bros. Game Pass, right? Where it's anything that makes its way into Game Pass all of a sudden has a Smash Bros. Character in their fighting game?
Yeah.
It may be. Could you get a Pal World character all of a sudden coming to Game Pass? Smash Bros, whatever they decide to call it, because that's the way they're going to keep you subscribed to that service. I don't know, man.
Yeah, totally.
At the moment, they come across as an altruistic company because they want to be like, gaming is for everyone, or we want you to play games. It's not about like these console wars anymore. It's about you playing games with your friends on any platform, console possible. And it's easy for them to say that once they bought out the biggest video game publishers going at the moment. It's very easy to say, we want our games to be everywhere and not be exclusive because we earn more money at the end of it. So it's hard not to look at these corporate spewlings and just be like, actually, there is a little bit of cynicism creeping in every once in a while.
Well, I think a lot of Xbox fans, when they bought all those developers, I think Xbox fans were like, oh, great, that means that all of these games are only for Xbox.
Yeah.
But really, I think the reality of it was, when PlayStation has outsold Xbox, it doesn't make any... When you spent that much money, you need to make it back, and you're going to have to release it on the console that most people have. And so, this goes back to the 360 days as well. Like, Oblivion was a timed exclusive for 360.
Yep.
And then the Game of the Year edition came to PS3. I thought that was just kind of what we're coming back to. So, I'm delighted to see Hi-Fi Rush and Sea of Thieves and stuff go multi-platform because, they've had their time on Xbox and now let's let other people play them.
Yeah, totally agree on that one there. It's interesting to think about what's going to happen to Microsoft's rivals, though, because if they are basically trying to turn exclusives into a negative trait where we're not fussed about exclusives, we want you to play these games anywhere, and if you do choose to keep exclusives on your console, then your player base should be asking you why. That should be for everyone. Gaming is for everyone, right? And Sony are probably put on the back foot because they're like, well, yeah, I guess so, because we want to have your games, and we're going to be lampooned now every time we don't release our game on every other one. So we're going to look like the bad guys for doing something that was an industry standard and actually championed for so long.
Yeah, I think we've been slipping in that direction for a while, right? With PlayStation exclusive games coming to PC.
Yeah.
Albeit a couple of years out or a year away or whatever. But now, Helldivers launched last week, Helldivers 2, and Day and Day with PC, and has been a huge success. And it's caught, I think, the zeitgeist in a way that's even surprised me, right? Like on TikTok and Twitter and stuff, the clips going viral. People are really excited to play that game and excited that they can play it on PC as well as PlayStation. I think it's done incredibly well on Steam. That's made PlayStation a lot of money, and so it's really hard now to go back on that. I don't think we're in a spot where the next Naughty Dog game is going to come to PC day one, but 2 or 3 Naughty Dog games away, I think we could see that happening. And then the conversation is really difficult of, well, why isn't it also on Xbox? You will have Phil coming out going, and already has, it said about Helldivers, right? He came out and sort of said, I would have loved Xbox to have Helldivers. And there's no reason it shouldn't be there, right? Other than this competition. And so it's an interesting way of reframing the industry.
Totally, I completely agree. But I can't help but have this kind of cynical feeling of like, Phil is saying this because Xbox hasn't sold as much as the Switch or PlayStation. Sure. Of course he's going to be like, we should be getting all these games. Like, if Xbox were the company selling the most consoles at the moment, I could see them really loving their exclusives. I do think a lot of this behavior comes from the fact that they're like, we've not sold as much consoles as everyone else. It's funny putting stuff on Steam as well, because I feel like Steam is like the platform equivalent of like Switzerland. It's like, we
all know that. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, we've got no allegiance. It's a very, this is no man's land. We're all good here. Everyone's allowed.
It's kind of mad, though, that he's weaponizing kind of like FOMO in this way, because he's like, guys, this isn't our problem. Helldivers 2, we would have loved to have it. They chose to not give you, the paying Xbox players, a chance to play it. Go complain to them. It's very clever, very, very manipulative. But at the end of the day, this is Xbox moving the needle in a way that I think the industry needs, because there is a shake-up that's needed for the industry with spiraling costs, with layoffs happening left, right, and centre. We're in a situation where the current industry is not sustainable and things need to change for good or for worse. We need to find the breaking point and remold it. Xbox with this has at least started making their intentions known. The question is now what the rest of us and the other console developers do with that information. But have you got any closing points, my friend?
Yeah, I just to come back to Matt's point about, with Netflix, they start to make lower budget stuff. Gaming wise, I would love to see that. You know, I think games are so expensive and we all want these AAA things. And actually, I love that Hi-Fi Rush probably didn't have the same development budget as Starfield or Indiana Jones. But, you know, I enjoyed it so much more. And so part of me is kind of interested to see what a kind of lower budget gaming landscape looks like. Because part of me wonders, you know, games might be shorter. They might not be as, you know, AAA realistic looking. But I think that's fine. I want more stylized games. I'm bored of looking at real faces. I see them all the time.
Yeah, it's really interesting, right? Like Hellblade, I think is a good example, right, of a game that was like a new IP trying to do something really, really different and gave you a kind of 6 to 8 hour experience. And then Xbox went, holy shit, that was great, wasn't it? Go make a 40-hour version of that and have it be one of our big AAA releases for 2024. And so to see how that could shape Game Pass, right, we could get these smaller Pentiment-style experiences. And then people love it and rave about it. And then Xbox go, great, let's make a sequel and make it bigger and better and you know, huge. And here's all money to do it. It's a good way to be able to test the market for a new IP, a new game. And hopefully it leads to more creativity and more unique experiences. The flip side of that is look at streaming and what it's done to the cinema industry, and all we're getting is remakes and sequels. Maybe we go in that direction, right? Which has felt like the direction we've been going in. And certainly the PlayStation have been going in, right? With remaking The Last of Us 25 times. And how many versions of Skyrim have you bought at this point?
Exactly. And you know, their big games are Spider-Man, Wolverine.
Exactly.
You know, Microsoft got Indiana Jones. Like, we've not had an original idea in years.
Yeah. And even Disney investing in Fortnite, right? $1.5 billion into Fortnite. It's like, what is that going to be? Who knows? But, you know, Xbox talked about games overtaking consoles and games becoming the main hub and not the console. Fortnite's a great example of it. Roblox they talked about. So yeah, they want to find their golden ticket, right? And by pumping stuff out on Game Pass, hopefully they can do that. They can find that hub world and then build off of that, maybe.
Yeah, totally.
It's the most expensive and engrossing advertising campaign that one could imagine. But, like you say, it could lead to the next Fallout, for good and as bad as that would be. So yes, let us know what you thought about it down in the comments section below. What did you think about this Xbox news? Are you excited about it? Are you mad? Are you even just slightly peeved? Let us know. And if you want to catch up with us in the social media space in between these points, then you can do so by going over to Instagram, where I am at RetroJ, but the O is a 0. You can follow Matt over there at...
Follow me on X at MattPVideo.
And you can follow old Nathan over at...
I'm not on X, but I am on Twitter at Nathan Byrne.
I could see you like itching there. You're like, ooh.
I ain't saying that.
But let us know what you thought about it down in the comment section below. Take care of yourself. Have a great day, and we'll speak to you soon. Bye.
See ya.